Hi there, welcome to this episode of First Things First. Why does somebody stay in a job that they don't like for years? Why do people hesitate to ask for a well deserved promotion or a bonus? Why would a friend avoid expressing how they really feel in a relationship? Or why would parents or even children for that matter, stretch themselves to meet every demand of the other without ever setting any limits? It's usually because of some sort of fear. Fear, as we all know, is an emotion. Specifically, it's an avoidance emotion, which means it makes us withdraw, step back, or freeze. It's the opposite of anger, which makes us fight or confront. So fear has a way of showing up in the choices we make in our lives, in how we behave at work or in our relationships. The tricky thing is, most of the time, we don't even call fear as fear. We give it some nice names like being careful, avoiding conflict, being safe, doing the right thing, etc. But what is this fear about? Now, based on how I have understood, there are many types of fears, but in this video, I have grouped them under six broad categories. Now, some of the fears that you may know may not be named exactly in this way, but the chances are they will fit into any of these six. And the earlier we learn to identify these fears, especially if we are in our teens or early adulthood, the less damage that these fears can do when we grow older. So let's talk about the six types of fears. So the first one is, I call it the fear of losing wealth. Now, this is not just about losing wealth that you already have, but also the fear of not getting the wealth that you don't have. So it's like the fear of becoming insecure or dependent. You will most probably be hiding this fear under the name of being practical. So, how does this fear of losing wealth show up? So, there could be like indecision, for example. So, if you are staying in disliked jobs because you are afraid that you will not find another job, then that is one way of this fear. Then you will have doubts, not applying for a job just because you don't have a specific degree. Or it could be worry. You could be checking your bank balance constantly even when you have sufficient money. Then I could be greedy. That is, I could fall for some kind of risky schemes like become rich in a year or double your money in 3 months. So others are investing, so why not me? Or I could be indifferent. That is, I could be accepting work that is, which I am not able to do or I should not be doing. So just to avoid conflict. So these are all different ways of, uh, you know, experiencing that fear of losing wealth. So how to overcome this fear? One, you can make one confident decision around money each week, like saying no to unpaid work or trying out a low risk investment option, or even applying for a job you like but where you think you just have a 50% chance of getting it. So, in general, think that the world has abundant wealth and you will get what you want provided that you are doing things the right way, and that you would be grateful whether you get that wealth or not. The next fear we will be talking about is the fear of losing self-respect. Now, this fear stops people from speaking up or stepping up when needed, mainly due to the fear of being judged or being criticized. Now, how does this show up as? It could be that you become self-conscious. That is, you might write and rewrite emails repeatedly because you might think that somebody will not like what you've written, or you might hesitate to post comments on social sites even when you have something to say. You could develop a weak personality. That is, you avoid sharing opinions or deferring choices, onto others. Or it could be seen as lack of ambition. You avoid roles which you could do, but you think it will be very risky. Or you could become extravagant, like overspending just to impress or feel accepted by others. So, how to overcome this? One, you could say one honest opinion each day in a safe space, like in a close friend circle, even if it doesn't sound so nice. Or you could record one voice note once in a week and say whatever you want on a topic that you like, and then listen back later. So it will definitely help your confidence. You could also take a solo decision once in a week, say, without trying to explain or ask anyone's opinion, like choosing a restaurant when you go out, or making a weekend plan, or even wearing an outfit. Let's move on to the next fear. What is it? It is the fear of losing loved ones. So, this fear is not only about your loved ones passing away, it's also about drifting apart, being alone, or even being replaced. Now, how does this fear manifest as? So, one of the most common way is jealousy. It is feeling uneasy when your loved ones give attention to other people. It could also be seen as fault finding kind of habits. You pick on small behaviors with your loved ones, like your son combing his hair a particular way, or uh, maybe even your dad holding his brush in another way. So there are different ways you'll find fault with. It could also be seen as obsession. That is, monitoring or checking in excessively. Nowadays there's a lot of social media stalking as well. So that's one more way. And the other way is being blind about how we are actually behaving with others. We do things, dangerous things, and label it as love, like blackmailing or threatening people. And then there are obviously various other ways of physically harming others. So, how to overcome this fear? So, one way is to start identifying one controlling habit, let's say one every week, and then openly sharing about it with your loved ones, saying that I feel this way, or I feel that the way you do it, it makes me feel empty, those kind of things. Or it could also be like showing your acceptance to somebody who says no. So even if they say no to something that you want, you should not react to it. You could also spend an hour a week alone doing something you love. So there are many ways where you can overcome this fear by doing these things. And the next important fear we will be talking about is the fear of losing health. Now, this fear can grow from minor worries into imagined illness and even real sickness. So, how does this fear show up in us? So one is you're going to talk about the illness quite frequently, always mentioning this symptom or that symptom, headache, migraine, or body pain to others all the time. You could be also making excuses of for exercising or even to seek sympathy from others, especially when you are not doing certain things. It could also show up as an addiction, that is just to avoid that fear of sickness or imagined sickness, using that reason to take some substance, abuse some substance, could be alcohol, tobacco, or even drugs. Most dangerous the symptom that can happen is if we talk about it so frequently, the mind will actually create that illness in real. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So how to overcome this fear of poor health? So one way is always set simple physical goals for being exercising and ignoring minor symptoms, unless it is something like a vital organ. I think it should be less stressful. Write down a positive health milestone once every few days, if not daily, and avoid talking about negative health for entire conversation with friends or with your groups, because talking about it will make it worse. So generally, avoiding these negative thoughts and always talking about good health and positively thinking about the body will create positive vibes. The fifth type of fear that we are going to talk about is the fear of old age. Now, this fear starts kind of silently around mid 50s, or maybe earlier for some, depending on their circumstances. But this is not only about getting wrinkles on the face or growing gray hair. It's more of the fear of becoming irrelevant, becoming slow or weak. So how do we face these, or how do we come across this type of fear? One is low motivation. You tend to avoid new goals because you think it's too late to do those things. Second is you tend to have apologetic behavior, always trying to justify that you are too old to do certain things. Or on the other side, you actually tend to overcompensate by trying to hide the age or trying very hard to look younger. So how to overcome this type of fear? One way is to find somebody younger, make friends or build a rapport and mentor them. So you will feel young, or that person will become understand your perspective as well. Or try to do something once a month that people in your age group don't do, like checking out new apps or a different type of music, going to a new place or meeting new people. So you can't definitely avoid old age, but you can definitely avoid fearing old age. And the last type of fear that we're going to talk about in this video is the fear of death itself. Now, this is the root of many other fears. One either worries about their own end or worries about how their dependents will manage if they die. So, how does this fear show up in our daily lives? One is we have frequent, uh, you know, imaginations of tragic outcomes. So we go into loops of how the world will be without us. Then there'll be guilt, that is worrying whether we have done enough in our lives and whether others will be able to manage without us. Or it could even show up as neglect, ignoring health because now it's almost time for us, or We don't have anything else to left to do in our lives. So, how to overcome this fear? One is think philosophically. What is that one thing that you want to do in life? Have you done it? If not, can I focus on that now? And if already done, then just be grateful for that. Another way is to have conversation about death itself. Maybe it's somebody you trust, or there's a another suggested way, not maybe comfortable by for everyone. Spend time at a graveyard. No, trust me, there are no ghosts there, but you will realize that ultimately everyone dies. So we just have to name that feeling, we have to acknowledge it and move on. I'm sure that one will feel really light after realizing this. So, in closing, I'd like to say that any or all of these six types of fears will show up in everyone's life at some stage, in some form. I don't mean we shouldn't be having these fears at all, and we certainly cannot avoid having or facing these fears. But what matters is how we react when we come across these fears. Would you want to spend the rest of your life being controlled by these fears? Or you want to control the narrative of your own life story? So the person who takes control of fear will move ahead, crossing all their milestones confidently and leaving the world a better place, even if from the perspective of a few people. So, if this video made sense to you, please like, share, or subscribe. And if you have observed a fear which cannot be grouped in any of these types that I spoke about, please write it in the comments below and I'll possibly cover it in another video. Thanks for watching.